Welcome to week 3 of our June blog class. Today we're actually going to put all the goodies on the pages, so I'm excited about that. But before that, let me talk about a couple things. First of all, happy Father's Day to all of your husbands and fathers yesterday. Hope they had a great one. Second of all, our design team call was up last night at midnight, but if you were crunching time and you still need some, send them in today. We'll still take them. We're pretty lenient. Other than that, there's not much to tell you. Let's just get started and decorate our fun pages. I think you're going to love it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the inside of our front and back covers. So here's what you should have after weeks 1 and 2 are our pages and the basic spine of it. So we're just going to work on these covers. One little tip that I want to give you is sometimes when you're making a mini album, and I know you've all experienced this, that if adhesive goes off an edge, when you have your album, you'll have little places that stick as you're going through it. So I always keep a little container of baby powder in my scrapbook area, and when I have things like that, I just dust it. So you can kind of see the powder right here. It was a little bit of adhesive, so I just dust it, and then it's not sticky, and by the time I'm done making my album, you won't see the dust in there. So just a little tip, keep baby powder in your scrapbook area. All right, so front and back covers are identical. So the first thing we're going to do is get our just our regular key line paper. And on this one we want 2 pieces that are 5.5 by 6, but you're going to have to cut it the right way because we're going to use this for fussy cutting later. So you want to come in 5.5 and then cut 6, so that when you cut your paper, you get your 2 pieces like this. So 5.5 by 6, 2 pieces. And then with your key line making waves, you want to get 2 pieces that are 3 by 5.5. And I prefer my chevrons to go up and down, so I cut a 3-inch strip off the bottom and then cut to my 5.5. You know, I'm just saying, watch your stripes. If you don't mind them going this way, you could cut it that way. So just depending on how you want your chevrons, that's how I wanted mine. And then with your key lime sundew, sorry I don't have the whole sheet, you're going to cut 2 pieces that are 1 1/4 by 5.5. And then I ran mine, I used the classic edges on my spellbinder. So that's what I used for my scallop edge, but you could use scissors, you could use any of your die cutting machines. It doesn't have to be a scallop, you could even do a zigzag or any punch that you might have. So with that, this is going to give me my pocket on here. Like this. So we will start right here. And also, I'm not going to tell you every time, but if you want to ink or sand your edges, go ahead and do that before you actually adhere them down. I'm not going to for the sake of time. So your big key line piece, just center it at the top. It's going to go there. And then I'm going to adhere my scallop edge on first to my pocket. And I like to do it from the back so that I can see that I got it even. Oh, my pieces are a little long, but I'll trim it off. That's how I can see that I got it even. Now, because it's a pocket and we want to be able to put something in that pocket, I like to make my pockets dimensional. So you had extra chipboard when we made our cover. I'm going to cut 2 strips of the chipboard, and they're going to be like 3/8 of an inch. I mean, you could do 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, that's not really important. But I'm going to adhere those on both sides and along the bottom. And then my pocket will be raised up off the page so I can put more than 1 photo in there. So I'm going to use, and you want pretty good adhesive when you're sticking pockets on. I'm actually just going to adhese this whole thing and then trim and go. there. Whoops. Across the bottom. So, for those of you that are in the U.S., our kids are out of school. Do you have fun plans for your kids this summer? I love summer. I love going to water parks. Okay, so there I've got my thing. It's dimensional. Again, oops, I'm not gonna add adhesive yet. Let me show you the done one. We're actually gonna take one of our trinkets and put it on some twine and put that on our pocket. And I actually did not go all the way around because otherwise my stuff would get hooked on the thread, so I just barely went around the edge. So, and there's 3 of these little pennants, so you can just pick whatever 2 you want, and just enough twine to go, it's just going to tuck under. Okay, so I've got my trinket and my twine, and I'm going to show you how I put these together, and really it's just a personal thing, but I like to just use my 2 ends, and that's where I'm actually going to make my knot. You know, you do things so easily, and then when somebody's watching, it ends up not being so easy. So I'm actually going to make my knot right there. And then I want this to hang about there, so I'll cut this side here. So then I'll just go around and adhere that on. Okay, so now I've just barely went around the edge. Give that more adhesive. Stick that baby on. And my little trinket's gonna move around, so I'm actually gonna use a little bit of glue or a glue dot and adhere that down so that it's right where I want it to be. Right now I'm just gonna use this little bit of adhesive just to hold that in place. Alright, so now I've got my fun pocket that I can actually put something that has bolt to it because we've raised it. And then you are going to do the identical page on the back. So your back cover is identical, except for your trinket will be different. All right, our first 2 pockets. First thing we want is on our Summer Days paper, and that's D-A-Z-E, which is this guy. We want 2 pieces. Mine are 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, but really it's going to depend on how deep you punched your notches is where you're gonna want here. So your 3 3/4 is gonna be the same, but this may be a little bit different. Each of ours might be a little bit different because of that. So I've got 2 pieces. Mine are 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I'm just going to stick those onto my pockets. And the words are every which way, and our cute designers do that on purpose so that you can use the paper anyway, because they're brilliant. I always say to them, in my world, they can do anything, so they can't shatter their image. Okay, so we've got those there. Okay, then off of your key lime notes, we want to cut out this bottom middle piece right here and just fussy cut right around there. And then out of your combo sticker, fussy cut out this little beach ball, which I've already taken the sticker off, but he's right there. Nope, I lied, he's right here. Ha! So just take that square off and fussy cut him, and then same thing, I dusted him with some baby powder and added some foam squares because I want him to be dimensional. And I also want this guy to be dimensional. So I've added some foam squares to that. That's what we call double dimension, ladies. Double D. Oopsie, we don't say double D. Okay, this is going to go on the top. And then our cute little beach ball, we're going to put on top of this beach ball. And it'll be dimensional. Oh, it's just like a little scene right out of the beach. Kind of want to go here. So voila. And I'm not going to do anything to this guy. I'm just going to leave him plain because I like those different words. All right, now for our tags. We want out of your key lime wipeout, this top left bracket that has flip-flops on it, we're going to fussy cut out the bracket so that we have this piece. And then on the back side of your notes, off of this side right here, because we're going to use some more of this stuff, so take it out of this bottom right corner. You want a piece that's 3 inches by about 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch. And I'm going to fold that in half. Give it a little adhesive. And I'm going to make my bracket here into a little tab. And I'm going to put it on squamped. So there, and then I'm going to put a little brad right in that. And you get a brad of your choice put in there. So that when you're done, it looks like that. Oh, look, on this one, I actually didn't adhere it down. I just did the brad and then it is movable. That's kind of fun. And then, off of your combo sticker, just put a little sticker back there so that it covers your brad legs. Because when we turn the page, we'll see that side. Okay, our next tag is going to come from your key lime paper, and it is 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. And this is your paper, and you cut off the 2 pieces for front and back cover. So you want your next piece to come from right here. This didn't because I messed up, but you want it to come from right here because still we're going to use our surfboards. So that's our next tag, and on this one we're just going to cut it like a regular tag, cut the corners. So this is how I like to do my tags, is I just kind of fold it in half like that and then snip them, and then they're identical. So we've got this cute Stay Cool sticker right here, and it's a little too big to fit on there, so I'm going to cut it off so it's going to fit on here. But I want it to have a little bordered edge, so I just cut a little bit off because I want it to just center right down here on my tag. Then I'm going to get a little, maybe 6-inch piece of ribbon. Staple that guy on. And then for my back side, I want to cover this, so I'm going to use one of these cute little circle stickers. I'm going to have it pop up over that staple. Oops, stuck to me. Right there. And then I'm going to do a little piece of Heat Wave 3 1/4 square. And stick it on my tag too. So then I have a cute tag, and it will just sit right in there. There's our tags. Easy peasy. Next side. On the back side of the pockets, I just took a little piece of the key lime stripe, but I'm just going to use the red side. And I cut 2 pieces that are 2 inches by 3 3/4. These are a little bit smaller than our pieces that were on the front because we have our spine right here. So now I'm going to stick these 2 pieces here. And then on these, I was kind of thinking that it might be fun to have some little photos. You know how when you're water skiing or boating and you take those distance pictures? I thought that might be fun just to add, like, you know, the water skiing picture, little pictures on here. So basically I'm just using this as a photo mat. And of course you'll want to wait till you get your photos on it if you plan to. But then I just went in these cute little words, and I just wanted just little words kind of sticking out the side. And I went down and did 4 or 5 on each one. So those will go wherever your photo is not. or your people in your photo. Let's do a cowabunga. That's going to be kind of long right there, maybe not. Anyway, so that's all for those, because I want to add some little photos right there. All right, on to page 2. I'm going to consider this page 1. So on to page 2, which is our sundew page. And on this page, we're going to make 3 pennants out of the different papers. So let me give you those sizes. Out of the same stripe that we just had, we're going to do 1.5 inch by 7. So out of your regular key lime, we've got 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. And then out of your key lime notes, we're using this yellow piece, but let me show you where to cut it from so that you don't get something that we need to use. So right here in this top left corner, we want a piece that is 2 3/4 by 7 3/4. We're going to use the yellow side. Okay, and on all of these, we want to make them into the pennants. So I do it the same way as a tag. Fold it, and then just cut. But make sure that you cut not to make a point, but to make the pennant. So I've just misplaced my scissors. Remember how I just had it there? Okay. And then that way, they're all the same. And sometimes I like to do them different. So like I like to do some that start low and do some that are deeper so that they're not all identical. Adds a little, I don't know, something pleasing for the eye going on right there. This one I'm going to make maybe a little bit deeper. Go right out to my corner. And then my little red guy. And when the shorter ones, they're kind of hard to do without bending. But I'm not super picky if my paper bends. Like I said, it just adds character. So now we've got our 3 pennants. And I'm going to leave, I'm not going to put adhesive right down on my little corners because I kind of like them to curl up. So just get some adhesive on those and I'll show you where we placed them. Okay, start with our yellow guy on the left side. And our red guy. Not quite touching each other. And then our green guy is going to go right in the middle. And then to kind of unify and tie those guys together, I'm going to cut a little piece of stripe that's about 1/2 inch by 5. It doesn't have to be exact, I just want it to go across here like it's holding on. And then I'm going to add 2 brads to both sides. And depending on how you are about your backs, you can either cut off the prongs, or you can just put it through the stripe and then adhere that whole thing on. Or if you want to go over to this side and just make sure you cover it up, that works too. So, cute little pennants, and then we can add photos or go across. See? Easy, easy. Okay, next side. Back side of this. We are going to, again with our stripe, we're going to cut a piece that is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So it's going to be a square. And then out of our key lime wipeout, that's the one with all the cutouts on it. Let me show you what you're going to use. And I did this to show you that I did it wrong. So we want these 3 Wave Hello, Life is Good, and the Best Part of Summer pieces. But you want to keep, there's like, it looks like orange washi tape down the side. You want to keep that on there. Because I want these to be the same width as my photo mat. So this little orange piece of washi tape, when you're cutting these 3 out, leave that on there. And then they're all the same width. So we've got, kind of looks uniform there. So then all we're going to do is fussy cut this out, and it is on our key lime notes right here. And I've popped that up for dimension. And then I just added brads randomly throughout the page. So again, pretty easy, but it still has a lot of things to look at, a lot going on. All right, our next page is our envelope that we put on. And remember how mine in my original book was vellum, and this one I have just a white envelope. So it doesn't really matter, but the next thing you want out of your key lime notes are these 3 pennants, and keep them attached together. And then just a tiny little strip of your deep blue sea. Really, there's no measurements to it, just do a tiny little strip. I kind of, because I can't really sew in my album, but I like that look. I feel like it, I don't know, makes your page cohesive when pennants are stuck together. I know, I'm weird, it's okay. So I'm going to put those, I'm going to put them a little bit down. I don't like things centered. And then right where that stitching is, I'm going to go and put my little strip of deep blue sea. Like it is just attaching those guys on there. And I'm going to have to put a little more right there. So there's my pocket. And then out of your key lime notes, I cut out this splish splash. You could actually do several photos in this envelope. Or you could put memorabilia, maybe a little pouch with sand in it, whatever you want to put in the envelope. But just for the class, I cut out the little splish splash. So he's going to just tuck inside of there. All right. I've left the back side of my envelope alone. There again, I can put a big picture right there and add a couple more little word tags. So our next one will go on to the page here with all the signs. Okay, so when you cut out your sundew paper, you had a second side, so you want a photo mat out of that. I did my photo mat 6.5 by 4 3/4. 4 3/4 by 6.5. And I'm going to put that down at the bottom centered. Let me show you, and just because that's the way I am, I'm going to show you this original one. This white is just representing my photo. So now I'm going to cut a circle. It's 2.5 inches. And then my little strip of deep blue sea. That guy's going to be 1/2 inch by 4.5. And then just cut out your little peaks. And then with one of the trinkets, you want to put some foam squares on that because we want it to lift. I also put foam squares on my circle because I wanted the dimension there. So that's how I did that, but I don't want to adhere this stuff to here because I want the photo to be under. You could leave the backing on your foam squares under the circle so that it didn't stick, and you could tuck your photo up in if you want to finish that part. So that's just for a big photo as well. All right, then moving on to the back side of that. I'm going to cut 2 pieces of my stripe. It's striped, but I've used mostly the red side. And they're going to be 3.5 by 4. So 3.5 by 4. And these guys are going to be just kind of centered. Okay, out of your combo sticker, I want this Ahoy, but I don't want the steering wheel. So just trim out your Ahoy, and then we want this cute boat. I cut him out. No, I didn't. I lied. Did I lie? I lied. And this cute boat. And my boat's going to be popped. And then my Ahoy. And then I'm just going to add brads around. And again, I cut the legs off and glued them on with glue dots. I don't know why. And then this one, I just needed a little something, so I just took a pen and doodled a border. So I don't know whether I'll actually put my photo inside of that border or out of it, but doing pen doodles is kind of a fun way to add a little character to your albums. All right, next page, onto these pockets are my favorite. So this is where we're going to use those surfboards from our key line paper. So you want to fussy cut those out. Okay, and then remember I told you on our Hang 10 paper to keep this longboard label so we could cut it out. So if you don't want to, like if you think that's a waste of paper, you don't have to because it's on there. Oh, I just can't find mine to show you. So when you fussy cut out, you're going to cut out the blue guy, the red guy, and the longboard piece. So if you wanted to just leave it like that, that would be fine, and then use this for matting or for something else. However, I like dimensions, so I fussy cut out that longboard, and then I just popped him up on top of the other one so that it stuck up. And then what you're going to do after you've got that all together is you want to adhere to your bottom pocket, and then you can flip it over and cut right there so that you get an even cut. And then your second half will go up to the second pocket. And then I just added a couple clouds, and this is a Sizzix die cut, but I'm sure any Cricut, any of your cutting machines, or you may just have cloud die cuts around the house because, you know, a lot of us are hoarders and we have those things. Anyway, so I just did a couple clouds, and one of them has dimension. Okay, then out of our Making Waves paper, we're going to cut out 2 tags. And I can give you the pattern for these. They are 3 7/8 by 5 1/2, and then I just did a little decorative edge. So depending on your edge, you could do any edge on those. We'll give you a pattern for this one, but those are 3 7/8 by 5 1/2. And then I just did, with my ribbon, again, I just did the peak on this guy. And then to cover my staple, I used one of the stickers. And then just a little bow for this guy. And then they will just tuck right in to your cute pockets. And then I left the back of those plain. And then on your back you had your second pocket. And voila, you are done with all of the pages. That's pretty easy, right? So next week, we're just going to finish our covers and our binding and decorate our cover a little bit. So, hang in there with me. Find a cloud template. We're going to use the clouds again out here. And I think that's about it. So I will see you next week. Bye.